Hi,
Hello.
welcome back to So You Think You're Iconic.
This
So,
week's episode's going to be a doozy.
oh my gosh, yes, it is. So how was your week?
It was pretty good. I did a lot of baking.
Yum, what did you
Um,
bake?
I made zucchini bread, which
Ooh,
is really bomb. I know a lot of people are like, why are you putting zucchini in bread? But believe me, it's really good.
it is good.
Um, I sprained a muscle in my neck. That's got
That
like a
sounds like fun.
got a huge like hot pad on my shoulder right now, and I'm like, and I can't look left at all. So I'm like, this is great.
Yay! Well, I haven't really been doing anything. I had my orientation today for work.
Very fun.
It was virtual and everything that could go wrong went wrong. We ended it an hour and a half late. There were glitches. There were people who didn't turn off their mic, so there was a whole bunch
Oh
of background
no.
noise. One of the people doing the orientation, she literally got like kicked out of it.
No
It's and so
way.
we sat there for like 10 minutes waiting for her to get back on.
Oh my gosh, I'm dead. What the heck?
It was so much fun, but I got paid for all of that time, so yay!
It all works out.
It all works out. So, are you ready to talk about this movie?
Let's talk about this movie.
Okay. Today we will be discussing the 1992 movie. Oh, I almost called it a
Movie.
film.
Not a film.
Cool World. So
Cool
before we
world.
even start, I just have to say writing notes for this was hard. It was very confusing what was happening.
Honestly though, like I don't think I understood 90% of what was going on.
Exactly. Not until the very end did I understand what was happening, and even then I was
Yeah.
confused. And this is coming from a person whose favorite movie is Inception.
Right. So you should be able to follow this.
I should be able to follow this, and I was dumbfounded at how dumb it made me feel. Like I was like, "Am I just not understanding what's happening?"
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Like you even go back a little bit just because you're like, maybe I didn't hear this or maybe I wasn't watching. And you're like, no,
Mhm.
I was watching. I don't
Yeah, it
I don't
just
know what's
didn't
going
make
on.
any sense.
Yeah.
So, our movie starts off with Brad Pitt's character, Frank Harris. He's arriving home from war. Which war? Who
Don't
knows?
know. What era? What
What
time?
era,
No
right?
idea.
It looked like the 60s, maybe the 50s. I literally couldn't tell.
Yeah, I was thinking the 60s, but then I was looking at everyone's outfits and I was like, that doesn't
Yeah, it wasn't adding up. I was like, was there a war during like the 50s?
no.
I was
No.
confused. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay. And so he comes home and he's greeted by his mother. And when he gets home, he surprises his mother with a motorcycle that he won in a poker game in Italy. And
Yes.
and then I was just thinking when he got that motorcycle, I was like, the amount of money you paid in shipping probably costs more than the motorcycle itself.
Yeah. Like I get it's a nice bike, but
Yeah.
you should have left it with like somebody in Italy.
Yeah. I'm sure you made a friend or two in Italy. You could have just
Yeah.
handed it to them.
Yeah. Or just been like, hey, you look cool. You want this bike? It's
Yeah, you want this
pretty nice.
bike? Or sold it. You could have made a
Yeah.
profit.
Yeah. But no.
No,
He
you
wanted to ship it home.
for a very terrible reason. And
Yes.
so his mother tells him he needs to be careful while he's on that bike. And then they both proceed to get on the bike and ride it without helmets.
Yes. And also he takes his mom away while she's making dinner and she like keeps saying that she can't go because dinner is on the stove and it's literally on the stove. You
I
can see
didn't
it
even
on.
think about that. Yeah.
They both left the house with food on the stove and the stove is on. Come
Yeah.
on now. Like,
I literally did not think about that. Wow. Probably
yeah,
burnt their house down.
yeah, yeah. No, doesn't matter if they didn't get into that accident. The house would have been burned down.
Yeah. And so, speaking of the accident, while they are riding their motorcycles without their helmets on,
Hmm.
Two people are leaving a casino in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
which
like a really
confused me.
small casino bar thing.
Yeah, they leave with their drinks in hand
Hmm.
and they start driving around, and then they crash into Frank and his mother, and then Frank's mother dies pretty much immediately,
Yes.
and then Frank, seemingly fine at first, except for
Yeah.
having like
War flashbacks.
induced PTSD or something.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there, and then he gets pulled into the animated world of Cool World.
Yeah. Which I don't
Yeah,
have any explanation for that.
none at all.
No, it's never explained either.
It's not.
But he's just pulled into the doodle world.
Yes, and then when he's pulled there, he gets interrogated by a scientist and his goons, who tell him
Yes.
that they are doodles and that he is
Yes.
now in their world, which is called Cool World.
Cool world.
And then the entire time that Frank is being interrogated, he is showing signs of having a concussion.
Yes.
And they just like keep making it worse by like yelling and screaming and laughing in his face and
I
shining
know.
bright lights. And
Lights
I'm
right in
like,
his face.
and so when it started, I was like, oh, so is this movie about him being in a coma or something?
Right. Waking up.
And then waking up in this world of his own creation. But no,
No,
it's
it's
not,
not.
because the next scene cuts to a prison.
In
We're
1992,
in 1992.
from wherever we were previously,
Yeah.
we are now in 1992.
And we meet Jack Deebs. He is
Yes.
a cartoonist who, while sketching a cartoon, he gets sucked into Cool World and he meets his favorite drawing, Hollywood.
Hollywood. Ooh, very original.
Yeah, and then he's there, he keeps hearing her voice, and then he's like sucked back into the real world before he
Yeah,
even gets to interact with Holly.
yeah. Also, are people allowed to have all that kind of like personal stuff in jail with them?
Right? He
Like
had
he
like
had a full-on artist
pencils.
desk.
Yeah.
He had his own electricity. Like,
I've
it-
heard that people can barely get bars of soap in
yeah,
prison. How is he
yeah,
getting all of this stuff?
right. Like even if he is rich, maybe, but even then.
That's the least of the confusing things that happen in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, we're just getting started, y'all.
And so then we cut back to Frank, who is now a detective, which, by the way, did you see his badge? I think he's the only detective. It
Yeah,
said zero,
yeah,
it said 001.
yeah.
So I was like, so are you the only detective?
And honestly, like later on when like he's interrogating, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, when he's interrogating Jeff when he gets there, he says something and I'm like, why is there a police force in Cool World if whatever he says is true?
Oh, yeah. So
Is he just a self-elected policeman?
I think he is. And
Okay.
so Frank goes to Holly. We finally meet Holly,
Yes.
and he asks her if he knows anything about the human that came, or as they're called in this world, noids,
Noids.
that was
Never heard of
seen
that.
at the club that day.
Mhm.
And then while he's trying to interrogate her, Holly uses this time to try to seduce Frank,
Mhm.
because if a what are they? Okay. I'm gonna try my best to explain this.
Okay.
If a Noid and a Doodle
Yes.
have sex,
Yes.
the Doodle turns into a Noid, into a human.
Yes.
Does that make any sense? Absolutely not. But
Absolutely not.
I'm going to keep going here.
Yes.
So Frank tells Holly that she is not allowed to go to the real world and to, quote, keep her legs crossed and forget about the real world.
Yes. Like y'all.
I have so many questions. And then he talks about how there's a rule that Noids and humans cannot have sex. It is a
Yes.
law,
Yes.
seemingly the only law in this
Yes.
world.
Because he says everything goes in Cool World except Noids and Doodles having sex.
Yeah. Which I have several questions. First being, how did they figure out that noids and humans having sex creates a human?
Yeah, who is the first
Because
one to
Frank
do
is
that?
the only human in this world. I'm very confused.
Right. Like I think he said that there are like people who like go back and forth like Jack did. But
Hmm.
does that mean one of them had sex with a doodle?
Yeah.
And then they made that rule?
And Frank seems to be the only person that enforces that rule,
Yeah. And
even
but
though
I feel
he's the
like
only
that's
person that could break it.
yeah, right. Is he keeping himself accountable? Is that it?
I think that's what it is. He's just trying to keep himself accountable. He's
And I
like, if
mean,
I tell everyone else, then I have to keep up with it.
he does.
Seeing from what we figure out from what we see later.
Yes.
And so we go back to Jack, and he's released from prison, and he goes to a comic book store,
Yeah. Like
and we see that he is a world-renowned comic book because there's literally his comic books for Cool World everywhere in that
everywhere.
comic book store.
Hmm.
And so in this comic book store, we get exposition from this random guy
Well,
that
kind of.
Jack was in prison because he murdered a man and his wife because he found them in bed together.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I've never heard of a person who committed double murder getting out
Yeah.
of prison.
Isn't that's a life sentence for
That's
sure?
a life sentence, if not the death penalty.
Yeah. Like those are two people, not just one. Those are two people that you murdered.
Hmm. For
Like,
seemingly no reason.
yeah. Like I get that I think his wife was cheating on him with the guy. Like, sure you're gonna feel some rage and betrayal, but come on now. You have to
Yeah.
murder him?
And then I love it when a movie tells me something instead of showing me. And
Mm.
the fact that I got told why he was imprisoned by a random guy
Mm-hmm.
just was the icing on the cake. I love lazy storytelling.
We love it. Also, like the girl that recognizes him at the cash register, she
Hmm.
says that his comics are like crucial spiritual nourishment for people.
What?
That's what she says. She
I
says
was,
your stuff is spiritual nourishment.
oh my gosh,
Like what kind of like cult
who
is he
knows?
like?
There were a lot of people in there buying Cool World comics, so something had to be going on.
No, but there was that random old guy that like came up to him and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's all like, "Oh, I'm
I'm,
Jack."
and then he starts to sign his stuff.
Yeah, he's all like, "Have a good life, man," and then he just walks away.
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
And so Jack goes back home and then is yet again pulled into Cool World
Hmm.
and gets attacked slash sexually assaulted by some doodles.
Yes.
Like one of them jumps into his pants.
Yes. Like that whole group of doodles,
They had
crazy.
that was not the worst thing they did in this movie.
Yeah, believe it or not.
And so Holly finally finds Jack and she
Hmm.
comes and she drags him around town while getting chased by the police, I guess. Was that the police?
Yeah, that's the police.
So Jack isn't the only police officer, even though he's the only one doing any policing.
Yeah. Also, again, why are there police in this world if everything goes?
Who knows?
Why?
And then so Frank learns from his
Oh,
was he an informant? Was he a fellow cop, like a partner?
I
Or was he
think
just someone that just followed him around?
I think he's some type of informant because he shows up other times as well with like information.
Okay, we'll call Nails an informant.
Yeah.
So he shows up to Frank while Frank is doing this weird thing with his girlfriend where they pretend not to know each other and he pretends like he's going to arrest her for prostitution. It's
Yeah.
very weird.
He's also a doodle and they're in a relationship.
Yeah, but they can't have sex, but we will get to that
We'll get
later.
to that.
And so Frank goes to the club to find that Holly has Jack. And so he goes up to Jack and says, "Hey." And then first of all, he like reaches into his pocket and takes out a pen and says, "Pens are dangerous in Cool World."
Yeah.
And
Like,
also tells Jack that Cool World was there before he created his comics,
mm,
which makes no sense. Because does that mean that Jack was like slipping in and out of this world, and then that's why he created the comic book?
I think that's what he meant to say.
But that makes no sense because when Jack is at the club, like seemingly he gets everything wrong about everyone. Like he goes to the bouncer and he's like, "Hey, you," and he's like, "That's not my name."
Maybe he never knew their names
But how did he know Holly's name?
because he was obsessed with her.
Okay, whatever. And then and then Frank tells Jack that Noids cannot have sex with Doodles, no matter what. He doesn't
Yes.
tell him why. He just says they can't.
Yes. And he's very adamant about it. Like,
Yeah.
not at all.
And so then Jack yet again gets thrown into the real world.
Yes.
Frank then goes to his doodle girlfriend and talks about how frustrating it is that he can't have sex with her, pretty much.
Yes, that's
And
basically
then
it.
while they are having this conversation, the girlfriends are like, "We can do other things." And right before they start, Nails walks in, thank
Yes.
God, because I don't want to know what those other things
Yeah.
were. Because I have several theories of what it could have been.
But
One of them involves watching, and then the other one involves touching. And
yes,
let's not get into that.
that's not.
And so Jack is back at home and he's continuously hearing Holly's voice in his head. And then yet again gets
Hmm.
dragged back into Cool World. And so we're like 30 minutes into this movie and it's pretty much the same thing happening over and over again.
Yeah.
It's Jack going in and out of Cool World and Frank constantly going up to Holly being like, "Don't sleep with Jack." Like that's the entire first like 40 minutes of this movie.
Yeah. We're not even exaggerating. That's it.
It's literally all that happens because my next bullet is Frank then goes to Holly's apartment be- and then he tries to get inside but the door won't let him inside.
Yeah.
And so he has to scale the side of the building. And
With nails.
while they're him and Nails are scaling the side of the building, Nails tells him that he is allergic to clouds. And then Nails sneezes and they both fall from the side of the building and then somehow get inside of the building. Like I didn't understand how that happened, but it did.
Well, because they scale the building again, and then they get to that point where they're in the clouds, and Nails is about to sneeze, and I was like, if he's gonna sneeze again, and for the next 20 minutes is just them trying to get up this building, I'm done. But apparently, like Frank, like grabs his nose so he doesn't sneeze, and then he does sneeze, but he like Nails launches himself through a window
Mm-hmm.
and like drags Frank with him, and they're in the building, like miraculously on Holly's floor.
The fact that you remember that is amazing. So inside of Holly's house, she's having a party and is told by Frank yet again, because remember, that's the whole plot of the
Mm-hmm.
first 40 minutes of the movie, to not go anywhere near Jack and that he's looking for Jack and that she needs to stay away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then pop back to like 2 seconds later, Jack is somehow in Holly's apartment,
Yeah,
even though Frank was literally just
right there.
there. And Holly proceeds to fully seduce Jack
Yes.
and they have sex, which turns Holly human. And while they are having sex, Holly's like doodle goons or whatever
Yes.
are literally outside watching them through the
Yeah,
window.
and they're like trying to make their way because they're on the ground floor and they're trying to like build like a way up to their window, and like the whole time they're screaming like, "Holly said we could watch," and I'm like, Excuse me? What is going on?
Jack did not give permission to be watched.
Right. Consent, people.
Consented voyeurism is good voyeurism.
Right. Have an open communication with your partner. Come on now.
And then Nails gets a tip from one of Holly's friends, I guess. I don't know who that man
Like
was.
jealous lover, I don't know.
Yeah, that Holly and Jack had sex and that they are trying to go to the real world.
Hmm.
And so Nails calls Frank, but then in the middle of the call decides he does not want to tell Frank and goes after Holly himself.
Hmm. Bad mistake.
And so Jack wants to stay in Cool World. He likes Cool World. Holly's all like, I don't want to be here.
Hmm.
And then persuades him to go to the real world. And while Nails is trying to stop Holly, she takes out Jack's pen and erases him.
Yeah, I don't understand how that worked.
Yeah, I didn't
He
either because
like
you can't erase things with pen.
yeah, like it's an ink pen. Like it's one of those old fashioned ink pens, and she like stabs him with it,
Yeah,
and
and then he
like
like
nails
just
get sucked into the pen.
yeah. And then either way they walk out a door or how did they leave? Like they
I
like
don't know, cause like he like hugged her, and he's all like, "Hold on tight," and then like he closed his eyes, and like they were like flashing, and then they were in the real world.
yeah, Jack is seemingly able to teleport.
Yeah, like he's able to control when he goes to Cool World and when he comes back.
Yeah. And so Frank finds out Holly's a human. She killed Nails and that she
Hmm.
left Cool World. And so he's like, you know what? I got to go get her.
Yes.
And so then we cut to Holly. She's at Jack's house. She's a human being. She wants to go out and she wants to party.
Yes.
And so they go to a club in Vegas. I think that's where they are.
Yeah, they're in Nevada, so they go
Okay.
to Vegas.
And then she proceeds to go on stage and perform with no clothes on.
Yeah, but yeah. Hmm.
And then in the middle of her performance, her and Jack start switching between doodles and noids. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry I have to say that, but that's
And like they don't even like Holly doesn't even go back to what she looked like
yeah,
as this doodle.
she looks like a clown.
Yeah. Like she doesn't look like herself at all. And then she goes back to her Noid or human form and it's really weird.
Yeah, and so they run out of the club and they're like, this transformation is not permanent.
Hmm.
What in the world is happening?
Yeah.
Holly is pissed. She's like, I want to
Yeah.
be a human.
Yeah. She gets all crazy.
And so she gets in and so they're driving, and Holly and Jack get into a fight because
Mm.
she wants to go get this spike of power thing that is a legend in Cool World
Yeah.
to perm.
Which is like the spike is never explained, really.
It's yeah,
We're
and
just told that she needs it and that's it.
and exactly where it is,
Yeah.
and so Holly kicks or pushes Jack out of the car, and she's like, "I'm going to go find this spike."
Yeah.
And so Jack somehow gets home. I guess he's like gets a cab or something
Yeah.
to find Frank there.
Hmm.
And Frank, along with Jack's neighbor, who
Who's
notices
who's way
Frank
too willing to help,
way too willing
might
to
I
help.
add. Like, I don't think they know anything about each other.
No, because he literally just came from prison,
Yeah.
so he couldn't have known her.
Yeah. And she like barges into the house and is like, "Oh my God,
On
is everything
multiple
okay?"
occasions, on
Yes.
multiple, she just walks into this strange man's house.
Yeah. Who was a murderer, is a
Yes,
murderer.
a well-known murderer.
Yes. Like I know like if a murderer moved into my neighborhood, I'd know about it. Like someone would find out and then like the whole neighborhood would know. So
Yeah.
I'm sure her and her family knows.
I almost said, don't they have the Nextdoor app? And then I remember it's
It's
1992.
1992.
And so all three of them go in the neighbor's mom's car, which makes me think that this girl is underage.
Yeah. Yeah, she looked about what, like 16 to 18.
Yeah.
Should never be allowed near either of those men.
No. I mean, like, I get why she'd want to be around Frank, who is played by Brad Pitt. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Young
like
Brad Pitt, come on now.
Jack
I
wasn't
agree.
even that attractive.
He was not attractive at all.
And so while walking the streets, because she drives to the hotel where the rumored Spike
Spike
is,
is.
and they won't let her inside.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
Holly's
she's,
crazy about it.
yeah. And so while she's walking the street, she runs into Dr. Whiskers from the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
who tells her that the spike is on the top of the hotel. Uh, but he tried to grab it so that he could become human, but he couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah.
And then she's all like, I can do it. And she gets upset and she tries to murder him.
Yeah.
She like literally tries to murder him for absolutely no reason.
Yeah. She basically just like calls him weak for not holding onto the spike and just like, you know what, I'm gonna kill you now. It's fine.
Right. And she like pops him into like separate pieces.
Yeah.
But before she's able to kill him, Frank and Jack see her.
Mm-hmm.
And so Frank chases Holly to a hotel, up into the hotel, into a hotel room.
Yeah.
And then Holly pretends like she's stuck and tries to
Mm-hmm.
get Frank to help her. And then she kicks him off of the building
Yes.
and
And
he
he falls to his death.
falls to his death. And then so Jack somehow turns only his hands into doodle hands.
Yeah, like the doc looks at him and he's like, only you can like stop her. And
Right.
like
And
his Jack's hands turned into like the Mickey Mouse like hands with the gloves.
yeah,
And he like stretches up and it's like, has he always had this power? Like what?
I've noticed with Jack, it comes down to he doesn't have to learn anything. Like he immediately knows how to go backwards and forwards through Cool World. He immediately knows how to turn into a doodle on command. Like nothing is learned. He just immediately knows how to do it.
Yeah, like it's somewhere locked in his mind. And like the
Yeah,
moment someone's like, oh, we need your help, he's like, I got you.
I got you. And so he chases Holly to the top of the hotel where she pulls out the spike.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, before she pulled out the spike, when she was like climbing on the, what was it, the name of the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
it had the worst electrical wiring I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, I know. There's
Like,
sparks
like,
everywhere.
yeah, it was sparking everywhere. Like, she wasn't touching anything. It was just sparking. I
Yeah,
was like, how is this hotel not caught on fire?
right. And how has no one like inspector or anything been like, hey, you know what? That's not up to code.
Yeah, I know Las Vegas is rumored to be run by the mafia, but like, even the mafia doesn't want their hotels to burn to the
The
ground. Like,
mafia has standards.
they have standards. Come on now.
Right.
And so she goes up there, she pulls the spike out, and then the two worlds, the cool world and the regular world, start melding together.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns into a doodle again, which makes absolutely no sense because I thought she wanted to be annoyed.
Yeah, like that whole scene where she's like has all this like power behind her and whatever, and everyone's changing. I'm like, she's holding on to the spike, and she's a doodle again, and there's no like transition between either. She's just a doodle.
Yeah, she's just a doodle. And then she's like, I like it here. I want to stay here forever. But I'm like, but everything is just turning into Cool
Into
World.
Cool World.
Because even all the humans around start turning into doodles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, what was the point? You could have
Right.
stayed in Cool World. There was no
Right.
need for you to come out of Cool World if this is what you were going to do.
You should have just taken over Cool World.
Yeah. Which wouldn't have been hard because seemingly everyone loves you there.
Yeah, and it's a lawless world anyway.
Yeah.
You could
Who's
have
gonna?
just declared yourself ruler and everyone
Yeah.
would have been like, all right, that's fine.
Okay.
Cool.
And so while everything is turning into Cool World 2.0,
Hmm.
Jack somehow turns into a superhero doodle and starts
Yeah.
flying around and punching other doodles. And then he comes up to Holly, who's holding the spike, and he takes it. And then she's like, "Give it back to me." And he's like, "Okay."
Yeah. Like where did his like Jack's own personality go? Like literally he became like a whole new person.
Completely different person. I
He
was,
was basically her yes man.
yeah. Well, for about 2.5 seconds, because then like a shadow appears behind her. Then he's like, "Aha, no." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And so he returns the spike. It makes all the doodles except for the main doodle, like except for like Nails. Oh, I forgot to mention. Nails comes back
Yes, Nails comes back to life.
because when Jack fell from the top of the hotel, he somehow had the pin. Oh, because she left it. Never mind. So Jack
Yeah.
had the pin that Holly used to like suck noodles into. And so when he fell, obviously the pin broke. And
Hmm.
then Nails came out of the pin. And
Yeah,
so,
he like leaked out.
yeah, so Nails is alive. And so everything is back to normal. Jack is in the doodle world. He's a full on doodle now. Um,
Yeah.
so, and so they take
Well,
Frank. Yeah,
they turn into a doodle and then they like disappear and like the neighbor girl is like super emotional about it.
she is. Like, she just
Like
met these people.
yeah, like it looks like she's about to cry and she's like looking around like, "Oh, what but where is he?" It's I'm like, "Girl, you know him for like an hour tops."
I mean, maybe it could be all that happened. Like, she literally just watched a man die. She watched herself go in and out of like this cartoon. She saw Jack disappear. It could have been
Yeah.
all that. Maybe
It could
I'm
have.
giving this movie a lot more credit than is
Right.
needed.
We're gonna try and make this sound a lot better than it actually
Yeah.
is.
And so they take Frank's body back to Cool World. How they did that, I don't know.
No idea.
Because I thought you needed a human to go in and out of Cool
Right.
World, and Frank is dead. So, and so his girlfriend Lonnie cries over his body,
Mhm.
his doodle girlfriend Lonnie. And
Yes.
so she looks over at Nails and says, "When Holly killed him, was she a human, or was she annoyed, or was she a doodle?"
Yeah.
And then right when she says that, Frank becomes a doodle
Yeah,
because
like they try to give this weird like explanation that like if a human is killed by another human, they come back as a doodle, or if a doodle kills a human, they don't come back. And I'm just like,
yeah,
what kind of stretch is this?
it was the stretchiest of stretches. It
Honestly,
was
though,
a gymnast stretch. That's how stretchy it was.
it's a gymnast routine at this point.
Yeah, so many backflips. And so Frank is a doodle now. And
Yeah.
and so the movie ends with Frank and Lonnie kissing and then turning off the light and then suggestively having sex.
Yes.
And then Jack, who is, remember, a
A
superhero doodle at
superhero.
this time, he's getting on Holly's nerves while planning their future.
Yeah, and like they're in like his comic book.
Yeah,
Like they're not in Cool World, they're or the real world. They're in like a comic book.
they're in a comic book, which Jack would have had to written, but he can't do that because he's a doodle. So many things made no sense.
Yeah. So does that mean there's a comic book world?
Oh my goodness, no, let's not.
Sequel. Sequel.
Absolutely not. I won't watch it.
Anybody out there listening that, knows somebody that can produce films, You got an idea for
Well,
you.
I've got a little movie fact about the director once we're done with this.
Okay.
So overall, Kelly, do you think this movie is iconic?
Iconically horrible.
I don't even think it's iconically horrible. I think it's just bad.
You don't think like
No, it's just bad. I was bored the first 40 minutes and then confused the rest of the time. Like I hated it.
you're right. You're right. Because like I was dedicated for like the first, let's say like 10 minutes, and then like after a while, I'm just like, would it be bad if I just like played Animal Crossing underneath this
Oh,
while like listening and like taking notes occasionally?
I was definitely on my phone most of the time, especially around that first 40 minutes where the same thing just
Yeah,
kept happening. I was like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. So maybe
yes,
you are right. Maybe it's just a horrible movie. It's
it's
not
just
even
a
iconically bad.
it's just a horrible movie, everyone. Please, if you're listening to this, um, and you've never seen it, just go by what we said. We told you
Yeah,
the
don't
plot.
watch it.
Don't watch it.
Some of these
Save,
movies we watch so you don't have to,
yes.
and this is one of them.
This is one of them. Please save your time. If you're going to buy it, save your money.
Save your money.
Brad Pitt does not need your money. He'll be fine.
He will be fine. If you're really curious, watch the trailer on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
the
goodness.
extent of what you need to know.
Yep.
That's it. We
Yep.
literally could have watched the trailer and gotten all of this information
All of that information except for his girlfriend.
except for
That
the
was
girlfriend.
that was a little bit more, but she was only in like two scenes, so it didn't
Yeah.
really matter.
So we wouldn't have missed out on anything.
Okay, so you ready for the movie facts?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so as a publicity stunt, Paramount Pictures put a huge cutout of Hollywood on the D of the Hollywood sign.
Whoa.
I have pictures. I will post them on Instagram.
Yes. Wow. Okay. They were really banking on this movie to do well.
They put way too much money into this movie.
I wonder if they got any of it back.
The movie was originally supposed to be a hard R, a
I could see that.
animated an animated slash live action horror movie.
Oh.
Yeah, but they like cut it to make it making it
Hmm.
PG-13.
I
I
wonder if it would have
honest
been better.
It probably would have been better if they just went all out.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of things were cut out that it wasn't good for PG-13. They just should have went full R horror. Would have been a better movie.
Yep. Um, can you guess who was originally slated to play Hollywood?
Oh no. Who was it? Somebody I know?
Yes. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
She was in a film series about three crime fighters.
A series?
A film series.
A film? No, Charlie's Angels. Is it Charlie's Angels?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of it's is it please don't tell me it's Cameron Diaz or something like that.
It's not Cameron Diaz.
Okay, so is it oh no, what are the names?
There's
Lucy
literally
Liu and
no,
then no?
no.
Oh, is it the original?
It's Drew Barrymore.
No.
Yes, the director originally wanted Drew Barrymore. Thank
Thank
goodness
God
she
she
turned it down.
skipped. Oh, that would have been horrible.
Okay, and then my last one is my favorite one. I hinted at it earlier.
Okay.
As of this year, 2020, this was the director's last theatrical film.
You know what? I am not surprised.
Like literally since 1992, he's done like two other things, but none of them were movies.
Oh no.
This
That
movie
he ended his own
ruined his.
career.
I mean, did you watched it? You watched it.
Yes. And you know what? It's fair. I
It's, he doesn't need to do any more movies.
yeah, he doesn't. And I don't think he needed to do whatever series he did after this.
You know it's bad when you make Brad Pitt look bad. Like I wanted to punch Brad Pitt every time he came on screen. He was
Right.
he just kept just repeating, "Don't sleep with noise," so much. I'm pretty sure that was half of his dialogue.
Yeah. And like, I'm going to say this right now. He's the only like sane character.
Mm-hmm. And
The
that's
only
saying
sane
something.
character. And that is saying something. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if anybody was wondering, this movie on Rotten Tomatoes has a 6%. A 6%. Like,
I think that's lower than the last Airbender. So
it's lower than Last Airbender and Cats.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's bad.
That's bad. Cats has a 20%. Like,
Please don't ask us to watch Cats.
yeah, I will not watch Cats.
I've already seen the staged one when they were doing like free Broadway musicals on YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was confused the entire time.
Yeah, there's too many names. There's
The songs seemingly just introduce people, but I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, oh,
that's all they are.
okay.
And
I'm
then
like,
there's memory, and that's it.
what is Memory about? Because I was sitting there, I was like, this is a beautiful song, but I have no idea what's happening.
I think whenever people are like they think like old like Broadway or whatever, they're like, oh, Memory is such a good song. And it's like, do y'all know where that came from? Do y'all remember it's from
Like,
Cats?
I literally can't tell you any of the lyrics. I was just sitting there, I was like, this sounds pretty. I was like, I have
Yeah,
no idea what's happening, though.
like the only part that I really know is like Memory, da, 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 and
Yep,
that's
that's
it.
that's all anyone knows. And then at the end, I think she dies. It
Yes,
was very confusing. I didn't understand what was happening.
it's
I
basically a Hunger Games for cats. That's a musical.
Hunger Game Cats. Like to see that movie.
Well,
They just put 24 cats in an arena with like a little bit of catnip,
well,
um,
let
and
how are
one mice.
well how are they even going to get 24 cats in an enclosed area?
Who knows?
Who knows?
And we keep everything the same. There's bombs everywhere. There's those dog thingies. There's fire. If
Right.
if you step off the platform too early, you blow up.
You blow
Keep
up.
it. The
We
game
need
ends in like 2 minutes.
we need mentors. We need
Yes.
people. We need rich people to back it.
Mm-hmm. I'll be a sponsor.
Obviously.
I'm rooting for all the black cats.
Yes.
So, do you have any recommendations for this week?
I do, and I'm gonna do a like a throwback TV show.
Oh, I have one too.
We're gonna do Gilmore Girls
Okay.
because I always like to like rewatch some of it during fall. I don't know why. Like I get this itch
It's
to
a
watch
very
Gilmore
fall
Girls.
show. It's
Isn't
a
it though?
very fall show.
Like I get
Yes.
the itch to watch it. And I'm all like, you know what, this is it. Like that weird in between when it's not quite Halloween yet,
Hmm.
and then like it's acceptable to watch Halloween movies, even though I just watched Practical Magic.
You did. I
Yeah.
haven't started watching Halloween movies. Actually, that's a lie. I watched Halloween.
Okay, see, there you go.
Um, yeah, I just need all the smoke to go away so I can start doing my fall activities.
Honestly,
I want to go to a corn maze. I want to
like I'm honestly down to like carve a bunch of pumpkins.
Oh, that sounds like fun. We should do
Like I
that.
haven't done that in years. Like I'm
We
down.
should go to a park and carve
We
pumpkins.
should. Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're making plans for that. I don't work weekends.
Yes, let's go.
So my recommendation is that Netflix just put Girlfriends on. It's a very good show.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Oh, please add it to your watch list. It's very
Okay,
good. It's very funny.
we're gonna do that now.
And then you know it's what time it is. Is that lock and key plug.
Lock and key plug. Here it
I haven't
comes.
seen it on the top 10 list yet, people, so we're gonna have to make that happen.
You're letting us down.
You're letting me down. I
Go
want
watch
to
it now.
I want to see it trending on Twitter. I want to see it trending on TikTok, even though I don't have a TikTok. I want to see it trending on Netflix.
We need it all.
I need a jealous Hulu tweet. Like, come on.
Need reaction videos on YouTube. Come on now. Let's go.
Yes. I need at least 2 of you to tweet me saying, hey, Jordan, I just watched Lock and Key. It's amazing. Can't wait for season 2.
Let's get it popping, y'all.
Oh, and hopefully they start filming season 2 soon because, like, they're working with children. I don't want them to get too old.
Right. Because, I mean, Stranger Things, they got big real fast.
Yeah. And the kids from the It movies, like they had to like digitally redo them in the second one. I was like, this looks terrible.
Because you can tell.
Yes, we're not stupid. We all have eyes.
Right.
At least it wasn't as bad as Twilight when they did the digital baby.
Oh my gosh, she was so scary and so smooth.
So smooth. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks, y'all.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SYTYI Podcast. And then you can email us at sytyi podcast@gmail.com. So yeah, don't forget to send us your movie recommendations. Don't forget to share with your friends, your family.
Yeah. Hello, international listeners.
Yes. Hello, South Africa, Denmark. What was the newest one? There was a new one.
I can't remember. I remember Denmark and
Argentina.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and we have a Canadian listener. Hi, Canada. Okay.
Hello, sister.
Hey, sisters.
Hello.
Hi.
Glad you're here.
Canada, please take me.
Yes, please adopt me.
Adopt me, please.
I'd love to go over.
My parents right now are being very bad. Please take me away.
The USA doesn't feed me.
They don't feed me. They don't give me any money.
Right. I'm dying over here, please.
I'm cold. Help.
I'm cold and hungry. Please.
All the other kids get to go out to play and I don't. No, but seriously, if there's like an easy way for me to go to Canada, like please let me know. Please email me. Please email us.
Give us all the details, please.
We'll do all the paperwork. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I just want out.
And then if someone wants to like marry me for citizenship into their country, I could do that too.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Anyone. Any takers.
Any taker. Any country at this point.
Yeah, as long as it's not here.
Yeah. We're not doing so great.
If you can get me close to out.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.